The Moonsilver Citadel. In the heart of the blazing desert known as the Sunweld, where dunes stretched as far as the eye could see and winds carried whispers of forgotten ages, stood the Moonsilver Citadel. The tower, looming impossibly tall, gleamed with an ethereal light under the sun and shimmered as if lit from within by moonlight during the night. It was a beacon, visible 4 miles across the barren landscape. Carved from a metal that seemed alive, it was said to have been forged by the moon gods in a time before history was recorded. Even the ghosts of ancient wanderers who lingered in the desert remembered little of its origin, for it had already stood for countless millennia before they drew breath. The citadel itself, a single seamless spire of pure moonsilver, was indestructible. No force of nature nor magic could mar its surface. Its walls, smooth and polished like a mirror, had never been scratched, and no wind or sunstorm had weathered its beauty. This impregnable bastion was revered by scholars, warriors, and craftsmen alike, for it was more than just a monument, it was a place of creation. At the citadel's base, a well of cosmic energy churned, pooling like liquid starlight. This energy, drawn from the moon and stars, pulsed in rhythm with the celestial bodies. For centuries, master alchemists and blacksmiths from across the world had traveled to the Moonsilver Citadel to harness this power. With it, they crafted wondrous artifacts, devices of alchemical genius, weapons sharp enough to slice through stone, and armor that defied destruction. The greatest of these were forged from the very metal of the citadel itself, lunar silver, a material now nearly lost to time. However, as the eons passed, the veins of lunar silver ore beneath the citadel ran dry. No longer could the metal be mined from the earth, and attempts to take even the smallest sliver from the citadel's walls proved fruitless. The tower was impervious, as if the gods had imbued it with a final, unyielding enchantment. Without access to fresh lunar silver, the creation of legendary weapons and devices slowed to a halt. What few items remained, relics of a bygone era, became treasures of immense value, each a mythical artifact in its own right. The relics of Moonsilver. Of these rare and fabled relics, only a handful were known to still exist, each more astonishing than the last. They were whispered of in taverns, sought after by adventurers, and locked away in the vaults of kings. Each relic was unique, imbued with the mysterious power of the cosmic energy that once flowed through the citadel's forges. The crescent blade of Lorander. Forged by the master smith Eldros, this curved sword was said to be so sharp that it could split mountains in two. The blade gleamed with the light of a crescent moon, and its edge never dulled, cutting through steel as though it were paper. The crescent blade disappeared in the War of Shattered Crowns, and many believe it lies buried deep within the ruins of the ancient city of Lorander, waiting to be found by one worthy to wield it. The Armor of Eclipses. This suit of armor, forged for a moon warrior of old, was designed to be both light and impenetrable. The Armor of Eclipses is a full-body set crafted from lunar silver, and its surface shifts in hue, from radiant white during the day to shadowy black under the moon. Its wearer is said to become one with the night, able to move undetected in darkness and shielded from any form of magical sight. The armor's enchantments are strongest during an eclipse, when the wearer becomes an unstoppable force, immune to both physical and magical attacks. The Lunar Clock. The lunar clock, said to be the last of its kind, was a masterpiece of alchemical design. Forged entirely from moonsilver, its surface was sleek and polished to a mirror finish. The face of the clock was etched with intricate symbols representing the phases of the moon, and its hands moved with a grace unlike any mechanical device crafted by mortal hands. It was not bound by the regular passage of time. Legends told that the clock could predict the rise and fall of empires, that its ticks and tacks echoed in harmony with the very fabric of the cosmos. Some said the clock could turn back time, though no one had ever proven it. Its current whereabouts were unknown, though many believed it lay buried deep beneath the sands of the Sunweld, awaiting a new master to find it. The Cup of Eternal Waters. The Cup of Eternal Waters was a chalice like no other, its form simple yet perfect. Made from moonsilver, it shimmered in a way that was both calming and unsettling, as if it held within it the reflection of another world. The cup was rumored to purify any liquid poured into it. Water drunk from it would grant longevity, while any poison transformed into a life-giving elixir. But the cup's greatest secret was far more profound. It was said that when held beneath the light of a full moon, the cup would fill itself with a strange, glowing liquid, the tears of the moon gods. Drinking this liquid was believed to grant immortality, though the price for such a gift remained unknown. The cup had once belonged to the moon queen of the ancient city of Srafis, but after her death, it disappeared, leaving only rumors in its wake. The Quill of Moonsilver. The quill of moonsilver was the tool of poets and philosophers, an instrument that could shape not just words, but reality itself. Crafted from a single feather of silver, it was light as air, yet indestructible. It wrote without ink, the words it traced glowing faintly on the page before fading into the parchment as though they had always been there. Writers who used the quill found that their stories took on a life of their own, characters came alive, worlds unfolded, and dreams became reality. But the quill was not without danger. Some said that it did not simply create, but altered fate. The last known owner of the quill, a playwright named Andros, disappeared after penning a story of his own demise. The Moonsilver Automaton. Perhaps the most extraordinary relic of all was the Moonsilver Automaton, a mechanical man made entirely of lunar silver. It stood nearly 7 feet tall, with limbs that moved in perfect silence, joints as smooth as water. It was wind up, but no one knew how long it could function on a single winding. Some said it could run for centuries. The automaton was more than just a machine. It was sentient, or at least, it appeared to be. It could speak in an ancient tongue long forgotten by the living and was capable of solving problems with a precision no human mind could match. However, the automaton had a will of its own and would only serve those it deemed worthy. It had once stood in the throne room of the lunar emperor, acting as an advisor and guardian. When the empire fell, it vanished, leaving behind only legends of its power. The return of the moon gods. As the world changed and the relics of moonsilver faded into myth, whispers began to rise once more in the desert. Strange lights had been seen around the Moonsilver Citadel, and the cosmic energy that had once ebbed and flowed from its base had begun to stir again. Some claimed that the moon gods were returning, drawn back to the world by the relics they had forged in ages past. The alchemists and blacksmiths, though few in number now, returned to the citadel. They worked in secret, using what little remained of the cosmic energy to forge new wonders. But without moonsilver, their creations paled in comparison to the relics of old. Still, hope remained. If the moon gods were truly returning, perhaps they would bring with them the knowledge to mine lunar silver once more. And with it, the Moonsilver Citadel would rise again as the center of creation, its relics once more shaping the fate of the world. The Great Convergence. Once upon a time, long ago, the Moonsilver Citadel stood not only as the most ancient and indestructible bastion of the desert but as the center of alchemical brilliance. From every corner of the world, craftsmen and scholars came to study within its halls. Its alchemists were unrivaled, the true masters of the cosmos' arcane energies, crafting wondrous relics from lunar silver that defied imagination. Every year, these masters opened their doors to a competition, inviting the most skilled alchemists, inventors, and artificers from every land to showcase their talents. The Great Convergence, as the event was called, was more than a mere contest. It was a chance for the world's greatest minds to challenge themselves, to push the boundaries of what was thought possible. For years, the Moonsilver Citadel had reigned supreme. None could outshine its alchemists, for they wielded the cosmic energy and crafted relics from the moon god's own silver. But this year, rumors had spread that something different was coming. And indeed, a surprise waited for them all. The Great Convergence begins. On the day of the competition, the desert seemed alive with the hum of power. From the shifting sands, grand caravans approached the towering spire, carrying with them the greatest minds of the age. From the lush, green lands of Illyrian came the famous artificer, Relvian, with his enchanted glass orrery that charted not just stars but entire timelines. From the frozen north of Baltheme came Astrid, a blacksmith turned alchemist whose steel creations moved as if alive. From the misty isles of Eundor came Elistra, who could bottle storms and capture lightning in glass jars. All eyes, however, were on the alchemists of the citadel itself. There were 6 of them, each a master in their own right. Clad in silver robes that caught the light, they moved through the crowd with the confidence of those who knew they were untouchable. They had spent centuries honing their craft, using the last remnants of moonsilver in their forges. The competition, in their eyes, was a mere formality. Yet, amidst the grand procession of human and elven inventors, there was an unexpected figure. Towering above the throngs of alchemists, his scales gleaming under the desert sun, was none other than Draxion, the inventor. Draxion was a dragon, one of the few remaining in the world, known for his reclusive nature and his fascination with mortal inventions. While most dragons hoarded gold and jewels, Draxion hoarded knowledge, spending centuries learning the art of alchemy and clockwork engineering from mortals. His massive claws, usually associated with destruction, were as adept at intricate creations as any master craftsman. His appearance caused a stir. Dragons were known for their power, not for their alchemical skill. Whispers ran through the crowd. What could he possibly craft? He's just a dragon. No match for the Moonsilver alchemists. But Draxion paid no heed to their skepticism. His eyes, glowing with ancient intelligence, were focused solely on the task at hand. The contest unfolds. The rules of the competition were simple. Each contestant was to present an artifact of their own creation, something that could demonstrate both mastery over the laws of alchemy and a deep understanding of the cosmos. It had to be practical, innovative, and awe-inspiring. There was no specific restriction on the materials, except that no moonsilver could be used. The first to present were the alchemists of the Moonsilver Citadel. Their creations, as always, were breathtaking. Vala, the eldest of the masters, revealed a spherical device that could create temporary wormholes, capable of transporting an object, or a person, across vast distances in the blink of an eye. Another alchemist, Lysandra, displayed an automaton no larger than a grain of sand that could enter the bloodstream of a creature and heal any ailment within minutes. Each artifact was met with gasps of wonder. They were flawless, powerful, and intricate, creations of near-divine brilliance. Then came the outsiders. Relvian's glass orrery shone like a constellation brought to life, its movements so delicate that it seemed to capture the flow of time itself. Astrid's living steel creations were mesmerizing, each piece of metal moving as though it had a mind of its own. Elistra summoned storms from within her glass jars, releasing them to swirl above the heads of the judges. Yet, despite the brilliance of each artifact, none seemed capable of truly surpassing the alchemists of the Citadel. Finally, it was Draxian's turn. Draxian's masterpiece. When the dragon stepped forward, the crowd fell into a hushed silence. From the pouch around his neck, which seemed absurdly small for his great size, Draxian carefully drew out a single object, a clockwork dragonfly. It was about the size of a cat, its body made entirely of polished copper. Each segment of its body gleamed in the sunlight, and its wings, delicate yet strong, were intricately etched with ancient symbols. It was the finest work of craftsmanship the world had ever seen, but it was small, simple, compared to the grand displays of the others. The judges frowned slightly. Was this all the great dragon had to offer? Without a word, Draxian touched the dragonfly's copper thorax. It sprang to life. Its wings began to hum, vibrating softly at first, then with increasing intensity until the creature lifted into the air, fluttering gracefully as if it were a living thing. It flitted above the crowd, darting and swooping with the precision of a true dragonfly, but it wasn't just its flight that captivated the audience. With a deep, rumbling voice, Draxian gave a command in an ancient tongue. The dragonfly obeyed instantly, performing intricate aerial maneuvers that no mortal could ever replicate. Another command, and the dragonfly landed gently on the shoulder of one of the judges, its copper legs curling delicately as if it weighed nothing. It responded not just to spoken commands but to the slightest gestures, and at times, it seemed as if the dragonfly anticipated Draxian's wishes even before he spoke them. But what truly set Draxian's creation apart was its autonomy. Unlike the other automatons, which required constant supervision or commands, the dragonfly had a will of its own. It could learn, adapt, and respond to its environment without input. It was, in every way, alive. The judges were speechless. Draxian had achieved something that no one else had. He had created life, or something so close to it that it defied understanding. His clockwork dragonfly, made of humble copper, had surpassed the most intricate works of the Citadel alchemists. The moment of victory. When the final judgments were made, the impossible had happened. Draxian, the dragon who had once been mocked and underestimated, had won the great convergence. His copper dragonfly, a creature of both art and intellect, had stunned the world. The alchemists of the Moonsilver Citadel, though proud of their own creations, were forced to acknowledge his triumph. It was not that Draxian had simply crafted something beautiful or powerful, he had infused his creation with a soul, something no amount of moonsilver could replicate. And so, the dragon stood triumphant, his copper dragonfly flitting above his head, a symbol of the boundless potential of invention. The Moonsilver Automaton's adventures. The Moonsilver Automaton had been lost for centuries, its legend fading into myth, a story whispered by fireside and written in the pages of forgotten tomes. The Clockwork Man, forged from indestructible lunar silver and powered by ancient cosmic energy, had once stood as the eternal guardian of the Lunar Emperor's throne room. But when the empire fell and the citadel's power waned, the automaton vanished without a trace. Many believed it lost forever, wandering the world as a nameless relic, or locked away in a hidden vault. But legends have a way of resurfacing, and sometimes, those who seek the past find more than they bargain for. The Seeker. Her name was Lyra, a scholar, alchemist, and adventurer. She hailed from the city of Sais, where ancient knowledge and relics were her life's passion. Unlike most who sought power, Lyra sought history itself, the secrets that were lost to time, the artifacts that told stories of the world before its collapse. From her youth, she had heard tales of the Moonsilver Automaton, and while many dismissed it as a mere myth, Lyra was certain that the Clockwork Man was real. She had spent years collecting fragments of maps, manuscripts, and cryptic notes, piecing together a trail that stretched from the crumbled ruins of the lunar empire to the forgotten edges of the world. It was in the distant northern wilderness, beyond the borders of civilization, where Lyra finally found her first solid lead. In a ruined citadel deep within the Frostfang Mountains, hidden in the vaults of an old warlord's castle, she uncovered a series of glyphs matching those of the ancient lunar empire. There, amidst the snow and silence, she found it, an old, decaying chest sealed with an enchantment long thought extinct. Inside the chest was a star-shaped amulet, glowing faintly with the same cosmic energy that powered the Moonsilver Citadel. It was a key, and Lyra knew instantly what it was meant for. The awakening. After months of perilous travel and study, Lyra finally traced the automaton to a remote cave system buried beneath a range of forgotten mountains in the east. Ancient seals of protection had been placed around the entrance, warning off would-be treasure hunters. Inside, she found the remnants of a long-abandoned temple, its stone walls etched with sigils and celestial charts. And at its heart, resting against a great stone pillar, was the Moonsilver automaton. Time had not touched it. It stood as pristine as the day it was forged, its silvery limbs glimmering faintly in the low light of Lyra's torch. The automaton's eyes, dark and cold, seemed to watch her, waiting. Heart pounding, Lyra held out the star-shaped amulet and pressed it to the automaton's chest. For a moment, nothing happened. But then, with a soft hum, the amulet glowed brighter, and the cosmic energy within surged into the automaton. Its eyes flared with a pale blue light, and its limbs twitched as ancient mechanisms began to stir after centuries of dormancy. The automaton stepped forward, its movements fluid and deliberate. Though it had no face to express emotion, Lyra could feel a kind of intelligence radiating from it. It turned to her, and in a voice as old as time, it spoke. "I am the Moonsilver automaton, guardian of the lunar throne. Who summons me from my slumber?" Lyra, awestruck, managed to explain her quest. She spoke of the world beyond the cave, of how the lunar empire had long since fallen, and of how the Moonsilver Citadel still stood as a lonely monument in the desert. The automaton listened in silence, its eyes glowing steadily. When she finished, it bowed slightly. "The Citadel calls to me. I must return." The journey home. Lyra and the Moonsilver automaton began the long journey back to the Moonsilver Citadel. Together, they crossed treacherous mountain passes, scorching deserts, and ancient ruins. The automaton proved to be not only an unfaltering companion but a protector as well. It was capable of calculating danger with cold precision, detecting traps and ambushes that Lyra would have never noticed. Bandits who dared to attack were met with swift, calculated strikes from the automaton's powerful limbs, and when they passed through desolate lands ravaged by wild creatures, the automaton shielded her from harm with unflinching dedication. But it was more than just a protector. As they traveled, Lyra found that the automaton had a mind of its own, a deep, ancient wisdom that had accumulated over the centuries. It spoke of the stars and their alignments, of forgotten empires and the old ways of the moon gods. It remembered the names of kings and queens long dead, and even the lost art of crafting relics from lunar silver, though the precious metal was now all but gone. Their bond deepened with every step. Where Lyra had once believed the automaton to be nothing more than an unfeeling machine, she began to see it as something more, an ancient soul, bound to its purpose but yearning for meaning in a world that had moved on without it. The return to the Moonsilver Citadel. Months passed before they finally reached the Sunwell Desert. As they approached the Moonsilver Citadel, its towering spire gleamed like a beacon against the endless sands, just as it had for millennia. The automaton's eyes seemed to brighten as it gazed upon its old home, and for a moment, Lyra thought she saw a flicker of something like recognition pass through its glowing orbs. They entered the citadel together, passing through the ancient gates that had not opened for centuries. Inside, the halls were as silent and majestic as ever, untouched by the passage of time. The alchemists who still lived and worked within its walls stared in awe as the Moonsilver automaton returned to its rightful place, the ancient guardian of the citadel. Word spread quickly of the automaton's return. Scholars and alchemists from across the world journeyed to the citadel, eager to see the fabled clockwork man. Lyra, now hailed as a hero and seeker of lost legends, was invited to stay within the citadel's halls, where she worked alongside the alchemists to study the automaton and its secrets. But the automaton was not content to stand idly. Though it resumed its role as guardian of the citadel, it had a new purpose. It no longer served an emperor, but the citadel itself, protecting its knowledge and guiding those who sought to restore the lost arts. It became a teacher, sharing its ancient wisdom with the alchemists, helping them harness the cosmic energy once more, and perhaps, in time, to rediscover the secrets of lunar silver. New adventures. Though the automaton was bound to the citadel, it did not forget its time with Lyra, nor did it forget the world outside. Together, they embarked on new journeys from time to time, exploring forgotten ruins and seeking out ancient artifacts lost to time. Each expedition revealed new secrets, fragments of the world that had been, and together they wove those fragments back into the tapestry of knowledge held by the citadel. In one such adventure, they uncovered a forgotten cache of lunar silver, buried deep beneath the mountains. The automaton, knowing the significance of the find, helped Lyra and the citadel's alchemists reignite the lost forges. For the first time in centuries, the forges of the Moonsilver Citadel burned bright, and new relics, forged from the sacred metal, began to emerge once more. Lyra, now bound to the citadel as both scholar and adventurer, had found her place in history. Together with the Moonsilver automaton, she helped usher in a new age of alchemical discovery. The citadel, once a fading legend, was reborn as a center of knowledge and creation, and the Moonsilver automaton stood at its heart, as silent and watchful as ever, guiding the world toward a future shaped by the lessons of the past. And so, the legend of the Moonsilver Citadel and its ancient guardian continued, woven into the stories of the world for generations to come.